Hello, hopefully you can hear me. Sure. It says the green light, so fingers crossed the sound's okay. So I haven't done an energy reading this week, so I thought I would do one now. Hopefully we won't be interrupted. With my daughter has a friend, I can hear them screaming and shouting, hopefully that you can't. So lots happening. I was just trying to find what I'd seen earlier about today being, let's, if I can click on my profile, I think I popped it up on my, it might be up here. Let's have a look. Hang on, let it finish its, no, I didn't. I'm sure I put it up. Well, I put about 4 days ago, we had, so Girl Interrupted had said about having the Schumann resonance was offline for 29 hours whilst the solar eruptions were going on. So we've had wave after wave after wave after wave hit. And I really feel that effect. I feel like that's what the preparation was for me personally. And I want to talk a little bit actually today. The first part of this video will be about what I've said I was going to talk about in the vision that I had on Friday the 2nd. There we go. Tonight, the 15th. So expect the unexpected with the moon aligns with the planets of change Uranus. So that was yesterday. So the next hours a bit maybe interesting, and lots did happen that night actually incidentally for us, and just felt like we need to take rest if we're feeling called to it. So feel as though, oh, that was it. It was on Magic Recipes Online on Instagram. I saw this post. So Friday night, February, Venus in Aquarius. And it will be from February 16th to March 11th. Free signs are expected to, let me click on it. Free signs are extremely favoured. 4 signs need to be careful around February 24th. So if you have plans, well, that's the full moon. So that's when things are going to be accentuated. The full moon always magnifies things, especially the emotional body in with people. So I'm going to ask, I think with the readings, I've got 2 packs here that I've been drawn to. It's the dragon ones, it's fiber elements, and Wisdom of Avalon I think we'll work with. I do feel there's lots going on. So I've been, for myself and in the daily energy routines, we've been working with energy, connecting, aligning, making sure our Maharic shield, or filter as I prefer to call it, is in place. So you're not then open to these waves of energy. You're working with your own. And also for me personally, I felt like my energy was shifting and I didn't want to kind of push that out or draw that with that alignment. And if you're not, when you're doing energy work, I'm sure you're aware, if you're not in that access yourself, then you either open yourself up or you open others around, kind of drawing that to you. So I've kind of been making sure that on those daily routines we've been really aligning and balancing on that access, so we're feeling in the central column of light, so that we can then manifest in a good energy. But I think it's important, we call this Plutonian energy. We're going to the shadow, we're bringing up things so that they can be cleared. So getting sick for me, and like I said, I was going to express some of the vision that had come through with the alignment on 2-2. I really felt this choice of duality coming up. So as the alignment was happening with Matthias, I was listening. We were traveling up to the coast, the Norfolk coast in the UK, and that point, Cromer, is actually the closest land point to the original nodal axis of the UK. So we've got lines that come, but the lines that connect with the grids, that with the work that we were doing from the ancient times from Egypt, it's kind of offshore in the ocean there. So that's the closest point. It doesn't mean that we don't have access to those energies. They're just different lines. So it's not the meeting point, which that nodal point is out to the right of the coast. I'll see if I can put up the grid picture for the thing, if I can find a link to it. So when we go up there, I always definitely feel connected to the network. I knew the network, we were doing work with the network, and I was listening, and I'd had my own synchronicities come through the week prior to that in our meditation, and I'd seen this beautiful, and I realized I hadn't actually said, I'd spoken, and when I listened over, so they went, you didn't mention that. And I was like, that's all I mentioned, I think, when I was doing the channeling was, oh, that's personal. So I'm going to speak about what it was I saw. And literally in the vision while I was doing the channeling, I was seeing these 4 pillars and a huge circular, like an implosion collapsing in a wave through points in time. So this was the meditation where I'm mentioning about walking, and I'm seeing these beautiful blue structure of the pyramid in one, and the black through this space one in another. And it was like I'd felt that prior to going to Egypt, my visions had shown me this image of the woman within the pyramid while we were doing the work. This is all before it happened. Literally walking through the wall like a ghostly apparition, but it wasn't a ghost. It was another realm, another space and time. Place this blue capstone in this other, think of it, I'm going to say realm for want of a better word, but it's levels and outside of space. It's not as simple as it. Think of it as in layers of an onion, and actually this is the best way of looking at it. So if you think of it as like a pack of cards, this is how Darius, I think, explained it. I think it's perfect. Time being like this, it's not linear like this, but it all on top, all happening simultaneously. And it's like this card and this card can kind of come out, and that's kind of happening and like all at once during that meditation and vision. That's what I was seeing, and this related to that. So I'd seen the blue and I'd seen that had happened, and what I was seeing in terms of my guidance to do with the guardianship was, I feel now, related to the seal of Amenti, but I was seeing and feeling that there's a collapsing of one timeline and this overlaying, and that had kind of, it happened, but in a beautiful way, not in a horrid way. It was like we've released a load of all this karmic, where everyone's kind of, all these souls are connecting, interlacing and waking up, and the result of that was this vision of these pillars, seeing it literally happening before my eyes, on an energetic level, in a metaphorical level, but also on a very physical level outside of our time reality, which is kind of, I know, a little bit nuts. And why this relates, how does this relate? So that had happened the week before, and then I've seen since a couple of various videos that people that were working with the bridge in Sedona and had been called to go there and working with the portal energy, but it felt like I was seeing it energetically happening prior to them seeing it and it melting and doing the work from another angle, from another space point, nodal points. And then the Friday. So my daughter had been off that day, not feeling too good. And in the week up to that point, I'd really felt called to detox. I felt like there definitely was sacred time coming up. I'm always called when huge things are happening to align with my body, with my diet. So I tend to eat less. I certainly eat more light, and I don't eat, I'm vegan diet anyway. So, but I really feel like at those times, I mean, really not need as such, because we don't necessarily need to do any of this, but I feel much more in tune when I've got the living water, when I've got a living greens and stuff in my body, like that's what my body is needing to do that work. And when I don't do that, I definitely have a harsher or time when the waves of downloads then come, because it's like my body then has to do a little bit more work, and it doesn't adjust as quickly, and that's the way. But it's not everyone's process. I need to make that clear. That's my personal process. And yeah, I have to keep an eye, because my friend said the other day I lost sounds, so just text the mic, let me know if the sound goes. But okay, if you can hear me. So we did the vision, the alignment, and what I was seeing was related to a personal thing, because I felt like I'd had this connection prior. So this was more although kind of a personal vision that was coming through, and I was seeing this chair and this Chinese ancient lady, and then I was like, oh, kind of like, wow, that's me. Like there was a recognition that is myself. So I literally saw that, allowed that vision to kind of solidify, was listening to what we were being told. Behind the chair, if you can, there was almost like a wraith-like figure that kind of come up behind. And in that awareness, this is what I was saying about the duality, and this is what I feel it represents subsequently to what happened the week after, that I was kind of in a duality, and there was a point where I wavered, and I was, yes, this is what I want. This is that sovereign self sitting on the throne, representing that knowledge, that wisdom, and obviously I've been passing the certificates as well. And then this wraith-like figure representing the shadow of the self, which I thought I had dealt with. And in one of particular vision that I'd had of them in Mayan times, I'd seen this very similar character, and I'd sensed it was almost like Commander Ashtar looking, but distorted, and like the light had been reversed, and there was a kind of aging that had happened as a result of that. And in that vision, that same sort of apparition had struck with this tool, which had literally kind of cut the head right down and half off the arm. And the last visions was quite horrific of that death, of seeing the blood in the red in front as the last as consciousness had gone, and a sense of the emotion of betrayal, of why, and this kind of link to from the higher self to this other apparition and the betrayal. And I felt like that was linked to past histories, galactic histories, where things had gone wrong, and certainly linked to Mayan times. And so that was another vision, separate time, I think back in 2020, I believe, during when we were going through the process of the I Am. And I'd seen that again, so behind the chair, and I'd done a lot of forgiveness work, and there was part of me questioning, is that myself? Was it a betrayal of my sovereign self, that in that lifetime not being aligned correctly, being done for the wrong reasons, etc.? And still having to love that side of the self when you work with the shadow. But I let it go. I always try and have a what's the best way of putting it? I'm not going to say, oh, this is that, this is this is this. I know exactly what it is. I don't know. I make a mental note of the images that come through, because generally the information of the visuals has multi layers of information, and has done for years. So I've kind of got into the habit of knowing that I have to let go of what it is, and just consume that information and then express that, because sometimes that information is not for me, it's for others as well, or a piece of the puzzle for some other part of the soul group, especially within the network. So when we were away, we were near the node, we were near the beach, as you saw the pictures of us, and it was beautiful. And I felt really connected, felt fine, but I was feeling like my body didn't feel right. And you might notice in the lives I did, the 2 lives I did last weekend, which are on the Patreon site. If you don't have to be a paying member, you can be just a subscriber. So I go live with the videos for this Qigong, and then they're unlisted. They're only on the Patreon. So for the daily routines, in case you're wondering where they are, that's where they are if you want to see those daily, especially if you want to do the year of Qigong with me. As a side note. But yeah, so those 2 videos I did for immune system because I could feel like I needed that boost, and I wasn't then doing the celery because we were away, and I thought 2 days not going to make much difference. We'd had that alignment. But the other thing I'd felt during seeing this sort of shadow was this sense of allowing the shadow in, allowing it in so that I could transmute it and clear whatever it was without judgment. And then there was after a sense, oh, should I have done that? I had a waver and a bit of doubt. Anyway, so I did that. And then we came back on the Monday and I could barely get out of bed. I think there is a live of me laying there, and I did a whole vlog on like surrendering and allowing to what our body needs. And it turned out I tested positive for COVID. So that made sense on one level for allowing that shadow in, just like when it had happened with Egypt. I'd had the vision of the bullet. So the first bullet, I'd deliberately moved out of the way. The second, the wind had blown. And the third, I thought, I'm going to allow this bullet. And I literally took the bullet in. The bullet became me, and I wrapped it in love and allowed it. And at that point, after coming back, when I didn't actually, I was like, I don't think this is right. Surely it's not. I've got like a mild runny nose. And that's all it was for a few days. Whereas this time felt like what people describe. So it's the first time I feel like I've actually had it since 2020. And so I had spent 2 days in bed, but I feel as though that was divine timing, that I needed the rest. And you can probably hear that there's still purging happening. And that had been happening in the lead up to in the purging and the detox in the week before the alignment, in that need to eat right, do the right thing. And there was that kind of call. But I said about letting the shadow in so I can clear and transmute it felt really important and significant along the line. So whether it's on a physical level or letting that emotion come in, I feel this is relevant not just for myself, which is why I'm sharing it in the first place, but all of us. So it could be that we allow the body to succumb to that need for rest. We allow the body to succumb to a cold coming out, or we allow ourselves, in a sense, to have that moment where we're really emotional, or where we let that anger out. And that's part of the process and part of the healing and part of allowing the clearing and the transmuting to happen, for that to happen, and to see it. Because during those days, I managed to complete my womb healing training, and I was going in and I was visualizing and working with the alignment in the body, and I felt a shift, and feeling how that was happening felt like that allowed me the time that I would not have allowed myself had I not been laying in bed. So I just wanted to share that, as I've mentioned a few times. I will share it. That was kind of just, that's it in a nutshell, really. There's not too much more that I can say. But I want to pull 3 cards on this week and on the alignment and what was happening during that time, because I did feel there was a connection between the vision that I'd seen prior, the process that I was feeling and going through, all of these layering of these CMs happening, and hi there, and feeling like we need to process it in however we need to, that freedom to be yourself. And for some of us, that's going out in nature. And I definitely spoke about that in the week up to that, connecting and disconnecting from the phone, which I've been doing more and more. So other than when the phone's charged to do the lives and the alignments and what I'm doing now, I've literally been letting it go flat. So at night time, it goes off. I'm non-contactable, to allow myself that sleep. And then Other things, like it might be that you're called to be around people. So it might be the complete opposite. Some more like a hermit energy, and others the need to be in circle, the need to be in sacred communion, the need to be drawing to and in with the network. So I think one of the things was to share, listen to what is that guidance for you. It's different for all of us. It's so individual. It's not a one size fits all thing. And during that time, that week, it was that rest. And it's taken me, I feel like I've tentatively come out like the buds of spring as we've had the Chinese New Year and that wood energy and that seed. I felt like I've been in a womb like state in the denseness of the earth and allowing that kind of process, which not everyone I understand has the time or space to do that, but allowing space for you to do that whenever you can, I feel is important. So what I want to ask is, what is it that is relevant to this particular portal, this particular time, that's relevant for us to know right now? The stag. So we have the stag is up on the top of the mountain. That energy is very much pride and leadership. It's stepping into the leadership. In order to be a good leader, you need to be very in your own skin, safe in your own skin. You need to be looking from higher perspective, not just down here and seeing what's right happening right in front of you. You've got to be looking from above as well and seeing what's coming, and almost like I'm kind of seeing like the roots at the top of his, his horns there, like those tendrils, and being and allowing each of the awarenesses of each of the layers of our grid to connect with that. Also, he represents the Jin energy to me. It's that stag, the status symbol as well, when you talk about pride and leadership. So going beyond our pride and seeing from the bigger perspective, the higher perspective. I'm going to read what it says, what Colette Baron-Reid says about this. Also seeing this is card number 17, which of course is an 8, which we're in. So 17, stag. When the stag appears on your path, he tells you to take pride in all that you do. Be the leader and hold your head high, and others will follow by example. So basically lead with love is what I would say there. Lead by example, lead with love. Ask yourself these questions. Am I following my highest path? Am I acting in integrity and doing the best I can? So we as a humanity need to be asking, are we on the highest trajectory? Are we in the highest timeline? That's what I was seeing, those collapsing of which is it that we're choosing right now, and our most integral path. Well, I feel there's a conflict within, certainly here, within the way people are acting and maybe not acting at the moment, and doing the best that we can. Am I holding back by the kind of pride that cuts me off from life throughout arrogance or its reversal, low self-esteem? So remember I was talking about there being this sense, and I saw, and I'll direct you to another lady whom I admire. Oh gosh, what's her name now? Amanda Ellis. She's her Valentine's video. I'll see if I can put a link in the description, but she talks about the divine masculine and divine feminine, and this in this particular video, in the twin flame energy. And I really felt that felt true, in a sense of the collective energy of the divine masculine and feminine as it kind of comes back into balance of this 8 balance energy. So a lot is off. A lot is the arrogance of the way we treat the earth, the arrogance of the way we are, even in like the way we manifest it, is not from the heart. It can be a bit superficial at times. So knowing in our own life, seeing in the mirror, where are we holding with pride, and where can we be more on our highest trajectory and path and integrity, and be in our sovereign self. And sovereign doesn't mean lording over people. It's sovereignty over the mind of ourselves. It's sovereignty over the ego. And the ego isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's more being in the fight or flight brain of the amygdala, the fear of fear. Because when we act out of fear, fear is linked to desire. It's there to keep us alive as well. And obviously, we all desire to be happy and healthy. So the stag asks you to be a leader, to be proactive with the highest intention. So it's calling in those higher values, which I hope I try and demonstrate to the best of my ability, and to always ask, what is the highest good for all? So whenever we are looking at something, it's not what can I get for me, is okay, how can I be integral to the highest of the high? Because when you are in perfect alignment to the highest of the high, it works through you. Everything flows through you naturally, and you kind of what we give out, we get back. But we can't do it to get the back. It's got to come from a pure intention. And the stag leads you out of both difficult places into the kind of pride that reminds you that you're always in service to, and she uses the word God, goddess, I would say, to the highest good. And in terms of the soul starseed energy, it's, some of us have been kind of a piece of what we're doing in this lifetime and a piece of what we've done in that lifetime. All relates to like pieces of the puzzle that kind of allows us to then, through this framework and structure in time, be awake and share what's there for not just for us, and to kind of weave into our own life in this magical energy that it brings with it. But so we mirror that out, and that reflection then in turn from the heart externally mirrors and ripples through, not just through time, but energetically, like a ripple through our lives and our relationships and our interactions, our co-creations. You may already be there, in which case you should be proud and happy. Look how far you've come. And those in the network, we've I know that many who view this remember past lifetimes, remember those times, remember the witch wound, remember what they've been through, and been through, and even in just this lifetime they've been through struggles. But you need to rejoice in all of the lessons that you've learned, and all of that, for the stag always leads you to the highest place with a sure and steady footing. So feel that steady footing, like he's, you can see all 4 feet there, he's standing at the top of the mountain, feeling like, I've made it, I've done this, I feel proud of how far I've come. And actually think about how far you personally have come in your own conscious beliefs and breaking of old patterns, and aligning with, and then regrouping and aligning with. And it's a never-ending story, but it's each level, celebrate the wins of each layer of where your understanding is. So what else? This week in the collective for the Piscean, for Venus in Aquarius, the Bard, with dancing. It's that sense of freedom and music. He's got his lyre there. That's, to me, I'm hearing Lara. He's got, oh gosh, hang on. What are you doing? Cats. No. Off. Come to play. Oh, yo. Well. Up we go. There we go. We go down there, because you won't sit on my lap, will you, when I'm up here? Bless him, little monkey. Oh my word. Yes, let's play. Universe is saying let's play. Right, what have we got here? Music, poetry, myths, history, the enchantment of the story, of the storytelling. And that's it. It's the understanding of self. So I'm thinking story, the bard, they tell the story through song. And I mean, there are some that would say this is why the galactic histories I feel are important when they're coming up. It's important to understand them. They tell a story, and that may be relevant to some to understand that for their own soul's journey, but others it's more about an understanding of the mythology is about understanding the different energies, the different archetypes, and how we embody those and how we interact and how the energy interplays, not just on like a masculine feminine play, but also within the body and how those energy systems, those lines all marry up. The music of sound and poetry and love, that's the Venus energy coming through, and that's a freedom. So embracing that right now I feel is important, and seeing the joys, because like even in, you take someone in a war zone and they, a group of people, they're sitting there trying to make themselves feel better. I've seen beautiful posts of children singing and playing and trying to really be in the moment, because the point of power is in the moment, because for them there may not be another moment, and it's literally in that moment feeling the joy from the heart and that energy. Because from the higher perspective, I've certainly seen and heard others and their visions of what is happening and how much is being taken on that level of how those souls are kind of shifting so much of what we're letting go of in our collective energies right now, for the shift and the change to come in, for that different sense of freedom and energy. But that history is there, and it's important to see the stories and the stories of the people, individual people telling their stories and how they're working through that. I know I'm kind of maybe glossing over in a very like arctic way, and I don't mean to, what's the word, belittle what people are going through. It makes me cry watching some of those reels, but remembering the enchantment and the magic, their stories need to be told, and so does yours, and everyone's story is important. And just because we're not in that space, I feel every piece, like grains of sand, is important. The energy that we're doing by aligning, by connecting and sending that collective group energy has a powerful effect. The Maharaji effects example, case in point, if you look into the science behind that, are just on the 3D level, but energetically on the within the fields, it's like telling those fields we're clearing out lots. We can do that by remembering, and this is also a 7. It's the transformation card, it's the shift, it's the change. And he's got his lyre there, which, as I said, it's the lyre represents the music of the spheres. So what is happening on a very galactic level is having a very profound effect on us down here. He's also saying spend time dancing, spend time moving the body, and obviously that will help shift all of these, as I said about those layers of the onions of the CMs coming through. That movement helps you ground that energy in. I'm gonna, because the girls have come down, I'm not sure how long it is. The last card I've pulled is the cat. So what does the cat represent? Independence, health, and boundaries. So understanding where your boundaries are. And I really feel like health is really important at the moment. There's a sense of lots and lots of groups being and becoming more independent, wanting to do things differently, moving away from the old way of doing things, and having an awareness of, well, the standard doesn't work for me. I need different boundaries in place and understanding. So on a energetical level, by having, like when I'm talking about in the daily alignments, having that shield in place, your Catholic grid, you've got this column of light around you, or this bubble, if you like to envision it as a bubble. Everything kind of bounces off. You can allow it as a filter for things to come through that you need, and to excess and let go of that which you don't need. The cat is also that, if you think about cats in general, it reminds me of SecMed as well here. The energy of the purring, the frequency, the vibration, it's that reminder. If you a cat purring, I mean, if you know, whenever you've been sick, they literally, I mean, they lay all around me anyway. But our fairy friends, I saw a reel I put up on Instagram at the moment. It was cat therapists. They literally seemed to know and make you feel better. They lower your blood pressure. They have this magical connection, and they see energy in a way that we don't. If you ever look at cat and it's looking off to the side, they see through energy rather than seeing in the same way we do. So they see your energy before they see, this was what I'd heard, they see your energy before they see you. So they'll be aware of your energy before they see the vision of what's actually there in the 3D. Starting to have those same eyes and awareness is what's happening to a lot of us. The more in tune and more in sync that we are more aware of people's energy before we see what we perceive in front of us. So you might get a feeling that something's not right in a relationship with someone, even though you haven't spoken to them and you don't know and there's nothing going on, but you just have this inner knowing because you're innately reading the energy fields, because everything's connected. And the same when you meet people. So it's important as well, as I said, to have that shield in place. And it's not because you're protecting or having a need to protect yourself. It's more of a boundary level of your energy and their energy, so it doesn't merge unless you choose it to. It's especially important if you're a healer, because you can take on that if you're not aligned without even realizing it, or the energy of the people around you. So be like the cat, have your independent sovereign energy, but also that a collective energy as well when you send out that loving intention for the collective. Do that through movement, through sovereignty, through standing in your own boundaries and being aware of your own healthy habits and knowing what you need to do and work with. So for me at the moment, that was rest. Last week it was needing extra time, less movement, but more energy work and what I put into my body, which you can see the girls giggling behind me. Laughter is important. Spending time with friends and family and laughing, and even if that's sitting watching a comedy show on Netflix or something that makes you laugh, or whatever channel, I'm not particular wherever it is, but laughter is the food for the soul. And with that, I'm going to leave it so that is quite in depth of what I feel is important right now of the energy. Is there anything else to be said? What we're carrying. Hand over what you're carrying. You see his staff there that's kind of leaning on the thing. Hand over what you're carrying into the column of light. So allow yourself to just release that. Release it by very convenient vibes, apparently. And be, as we're in this wood season now, we're in the spring, be like the tree. See how it bends around, it twists, it turns. It may be that you can't go straight to what it is you want to manifest, but you have to go this way. Allow yourself to follow the flow as opposed to direct. You don't get straight angles in that sense in nature. You want to flow, you want to meander with the energy, and that might mean that you are focused, you're doing because you've got that creative fire, and then you might have to wait and be patient and allow, and that might be rest and some time with family and have that balance. The 8 and this year is about balance of the negative. So when you're feeling negative, don't feel as though it's a bad thing. Just think I'm processing. I'm in the like womb-like state, as what I call it, the womb heal, and that is part of the process. It's part of the importance of moving through, so that you meander that back and forth. So I'm going to end it there because the girls are giggling and you can probably hear them off in the background and needing to have my attention. Have a wonderful week ahead and weekend. And if you are interested in doing the daily alignments, they are over on my Patreon. You don't have to be a paying member, Paying members get access directly straight away to all of the contents, but you can be a free member, and after a few days, those videos are released onto there. So have a wonderful weekend. Hope you feel good on this beautiful Feel Good Friday. Connect to you, to the heart, and with this Venus energy, free your heart and your mind and connect with communication as well. Look to what's your healthy, independent things that you can do for yourself, but also what you can do for the collective. Music and the magic of music, and take pride in your own sovereignty, but also, as we started to just to recap, allow yourself to look at where you need to be in integrity. Or the other number there was the 9. So again, the Council of 9 energy, I feel is relevant too, and luck within that, love within that. We're being sent waves and waves of beautiful energy and loving energy right now. Just tune into that, feel that, wrap yourself, allow it to be like a cloak around you. Green, you can see me wearing green at the moment, like the green of nature. Allow that to be part of your time and your weekend. I really suggest taking, and when the unity meditations on the Sunday are going on, not mine but others people have, I always suggest going out in nature an hour, no technology, just time for you, even if it's just a walk with your dog or a walk around the block, even just getting out and feeling your breath and connection. So blessings and thank you for your time.